Fanny pack, hip sack, belt bag, whatever we're calling it these days, this is a bag that has stood the test of time. And I have a great pattern to share with you today that's free because you draft it yourself. This bag is excellent for traveling, daily life on the go, and even just walking your dog. It's the perfect way to carry your belongings secure to your body while keeping your hands free. I used a gorgeous faux leather for my bag today. It takes under a yard to construct, so you can even use up some scraps from your sewing room or splurge on some luxe fancy fabric from the fabric store because you're getting it in such small quantity. I hope you sew along with me. Let's get started. In addition to the fabric and the pattern pieces that we'll be drafting in this project, you will need a 16-inch zipper and a 1-inch wide snap buckle. Let's start by drawing our pattern pieces. The first thing we want to do is draw a circle with a radius of 5.5 inches. Tie a string between a pen and a tack so that the distance between the tip of the tack and the tip of the pen is 5.5 inches. And then you want to place some cardboard or foam underneath your paper at the center and poke your tack through the paper and into the cardboard. And this will allow us to draw our circle. Now mark a dot that indicates the very center point of your circle and mark another dot 1 inch away from this center point. Place a ruler across your circle right up against the dot that you just drew and draw a straight line across. So this is our first pattern piece. The smaller portion of our circle will be our lid, and the bottom portion of our circle is the main body of our bag. So go ahead and cut out this pattern piece. And now we're going to measure the curved edges of both the lid and the body. Depending on how accurately your circle was drawn, we may have different measurements here. So grab your flexible ruler and place it along the curve. I got 16.5 inches for my lid. And for the body, I got 20.25 inches. For the second pattern piece, we're going to start by drawing a straight line at a right angle to the edge of the paper, measuring half the distance of our lid curve. For me, that's 8.25 inches. Then make a mark on your paper from your line down the right angle of the side of your paper 5 inches. Then we're going to connect the end of the line that we drew with the dot that we just made on the edge of the paper. The length of this line will measure half the curve of the body curve measurement we took earlier. Mine will be 10 1/8 inches. This pattern piece will be your pouch. And now we're ready to use our pattern pieces to cut out our fabric. Cut one piece from this circle. You're going to cut one pouch on the fold. For the bands of my bag, I'm going to cut 2 strips measuring 2 inches by 18 inches. With your main circle pattern piece on top of your fabric, cut little notches on each side where your line is, just a little 1/4 inch snip. These snips will help us with our placement as we move forward. Before we start pinning and sewing, just take a quick moment to double check your measurements, making sure that the long edge of your pouch exactly matches the measurements for your lid piece. If you're off at all, now is the time to make any adjustments if you need to trim anywhere in your pieces. This will help avoid any frustration moving forward, just making sure that they will be perfectly aligned. Place one side of your zipper tape right sides together with your pouch piece, lining up the outside of the zipper with the long straight edge of the pouch piece. I'm going to start attaching the two pieces together 5/8 of an inch away from my first zipper tooth and continue clipping all the way across. Sew from one edge to the other close to your zipper teeth using your zipper foot on your machine. Now that we have that zipper tape installed, we can attach the other side of our zipper right sides together with the lid portion of our circle piece. From snip to snip. I'm going to start attaching my zipper tape 5/8 of an inch away from the teeth and the snip. And then continue pinning, stopping at the other snip. Sew close to the zipper teeth just as before from snip to snip. To create our straps, draw yourself a line right down the middle of your strap. Fold one of your long raw edges to that line and pin in place. Take it to your machine and edge stitch all along your inner edge. Now that that's sewn in place, take your other raw edge and fold it to the middle and clip in place. And then stitch along that inner fold in the same way we just did. Here's what my strap looks like on the inside and on the outside. I'm choosing to add an additional row of stitching along both edges. Now that I've added that extra row of stitching, I have a total of 4 rows of stitching, and I ended up with a little bit of a thinner band that will go through the snap buckle a little bit more easily. So now we have our zipper fully installed, our straps are prepared, and it's time to put it all together. Note that at this point you're going to want to open your zipper a little bit so that we can turn the bag right side out after we sew this part. Place the outside of your strap, the strap that will be visible on the outside when you wear your bag, right sides together with your lid. And sandwich it in between the lid and the body of your bag just below your zipper, and pin or clip in place. Do the same thing on the other side. Since the zipper is open on this side, it might help to clip the open ends of your zipper tape together so that you can properly line up the edges of your bag. So both of the outer edges of our straps are sandwiched in between those 2 layers. And now we'll stuff the open edges of those straps inside the bag and continue pinning all around this open edge. And now we're ready to sew the bottom of our bag together. We're going to start the stitching for the curve right where we started the stitching for the zipper. And once we work our stitches around this curve, we're going to stop right at the other set of stitches for the zipper. The seam allowance we'll be maintaining is the seam allowance we used for our zipper tape, which should be about 3/8 of an inch. So sew around this curve at a 3/8 inch seam allowance. As you're stitching along that curve, and you get to the portions where your straps are sandwiched in between, stitch back and forth in your stitching to secure those straps. So here's what my bag is looking like from the outside, and from the inside, because I know that the faux leather that I'm using will not fray, I'm not going to worry about finishing the edges. But what I am going to do is top stitch both sides of my zippers so that they lay neatly to the inside. Fold the seam allowance of those zipper tapes to the inside of the bag so that on the outside of your bag only the zipper teeth are exposed. Clip in place. Do the same thing for the other side of your zipper. For the excess length of my zipper tape, before I cut it off, I'm going to stitch back and forth across the teeth, about a 1/2 inch away from the edge of the bag. Stitching back and forth will create a new stop, and I'll just snip off any excess beyond that. And now I'm ready to top stitch my zipper tape, about a 1/8 of an inch away from the leather's edge, and I'm going to be sewing as far as I can on both sides, from the start of my zipper to the end of my zipper. Do this for both sides of your zipper. And now the very last step is to attach our snap buckle. Take one end of your strap and put it through your buckle, and you can pin or clip in place. Do this on both sides. Now that it's clipped in place, try on your bag and make sure that you're happy with the length of the straps. And now I'm ready to sew both of the raw edges in place. If your fabric does not fray, you can just take it to the machine and sew back and forth a few times to secure. If you're not happy with the way that the raw edges look on the inside, you can also fold the raw edge under and pin in place. and then sew along this fold back and forth a few times for a cleaner finish. Sew both sides of your straps in place and you are all done with your bag. Thank you for watching this sew along. Make sure you check out my other videos for more great sewing inspiration for your wardrobe. I'll see you in the next video.